Alright, hello. How's it going? Yes, I'll just wait a second. Talking. Everybody, hmm, interested. Uh, uh, you can probably tell by the title of what we're going to be talking about. Basically, I've been hearing mostly just really shitty stuff about what's happening in Palestine, Lebanon, all that. So this is a really nice change of pace, I think. So I'll just be reading a couple news articles, maybe make fun of Noam Hamburger or something like that. Hello. So basically, we'll look at this ceasefire thing going on, or supposedly happening. The, so the Iran-backed militant group Hezbollah rejected a new ceasefire in Lebanon on Thursday, and Israel said it would not withdraw troops from the country, which undermines Donald Trump's effort to halt the fighting. I don't think he cares all too much about that, in all honesty, but it could be wrong, but whatever. It's like the President of America is basically just a figurehead for like imperialism, so it really doesn't matter who's in the seat. It's just the fact that there is one in the first place, or there's someone with all that power. Anyways, so the deal was that so Iran made a specific Iran made a ceasefire in Lebanon, a condition for any peace deal with Washington, and has suggested that in recent days it could intervene directly in support of its proxy Hezbollah if Israel continues to keep or escalates the attacks. And the Lebanese president, Joseph, we just call him Joseph because I don't know how to pronounce his last name, said that the ceasefire will come into force within 24 hours of all concerned parties approve it. However, Hezbollah leader Naim 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 I don't know how to get that either rejected the Washington Declaration, insisting that resistance will continue. And there was no immediate response from Israel or Lebanon under the U.S. to his remarks. Hezbollah is not a party to the U.S.-Russia agreement reached between Israel and the Lebanese government on Wednesday, but what would be required to halt attacks. Gee, can't fucking read. Israel kept up strikes in southern Lebanon on Thursday, and Defense Minister Israel that's great. That's a great name. Anyway, it said that Israeli forces would not be withdrawing from the area or halting operations in the country, which they invaded in March in parallel with the war in Iran. And that's still ongoing, yeah, apparently. The Operation Epic Fury. What, what the fuck decided that would be the name? Like, what the fuck, man? Anyways, earlier the commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guards That force, which established Hezbollah in 1982, said the minimum demand of the resistance is was is what the okay, I can't is Israel's withdrawal to positions it held before the war began, and Israeli forces invaded the south. So, uh, let's see. And then during the two peacekeeper was killed, and two others injured. You can read this if you want for yourself. Um, let's see. Yeah, this is significant notes that Israel would continue to remain in this security zone that they claimed, including the area of both the castle seized by Israeli forces at the weekend. So, like, I don't think a ceasefire will actually happen, or even if one did, even if one was announced legally, it would not happen because it's fucking Israel. You know, it was killing people in Palestine, even though there was supposedly a ceasefire between Hamas and the IDF. You know, it's Israel. No high hopes for them. Anyways, Iran's conditions for peace. Last week, Iran and the U.S. signaled progress over the tentative initial agreement to halt the war and build the strength of Hormuz, but the two sides have yet to sign off on the deal, which could lead to complex negotiations related. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah, I think, don't know, said that on Thursday that Iran's enemies had already been defeated on the battlefield and now were seeking to sow internal divisions. Khamenei, I don't know if the names, they had not been seen in public ever since, uh, this guy has not succeeded. Oh my fucking god, I can't fucking speak, bro. He has not been seen in public since he succeeded his father, who was killed in an airstrike at the start of the war. In addition to Tehran conditioning a deal to end the fighting in Lebanon, it also wants to access billions of dollars in oil revenue, waivers on sanctions and crude exports, and the lifting of a U.S. blockade on exports to leverage over the strait. Trump has said that the top priority is to stop Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons, and Iran retorts, replies, whatever it's called, and Iran says its atomic program is for peaceful purposes. So I guess the TLDR of my thoughts are that like there will not be a ceasefire between these two. It's just going to be Israel trying to instigate attacks because historically speaking, right? Israel has been doing this shit ever since 1948 when it was first formed, you know, because I don't know, it's just yeah. Anyways, so that's Lebanon and Israel right now. Let's get on to the W. Lebanon W. So Hezbollah has been developing these cheap drones, and like this is gold. This is just gold. It's beautiful. Okay, here.
Hezbollah militants have adapted drones that can be bought online into deadly weapons, and they're splashing all of their purported successes across social media. Drones are cheap, easy to get, and have Israeli soldiers in southern Lebanon diving for cover.
So,
We've seen scores and scores of attacks on Israeli soldiers, armoured vehicles,
based,
tanks, air
based,
defences as well, but it does create quite a serious tactical problem for the Israelis.
based.
For most of its
Huge
history,
doubling
Hezbollah
effect.
was feared for its arsenal of thousands of powerful rockets. Since 2024, Israel has killed a lot of Hezbollah's key leaders and destroyed much of its heavy weapons. So its surviving fighters have innovated.
It's literally duct taping an RPG warhead to one of these quadcopters and crashing it into the forces. And it's very difficult to detect these quadcopters. They don't leave much of a radar signature. They fly low. They're basically kind of a nightmare for any radar detection.
Typically, drones rely on a radio frequency to guide their flight path, but signals can be jammed. Now, these first-person view or FPV drones use fiber optic cables, sometimes dozens of kilometers long, that physically tether the operator to the drone. The innovation was pioneered in Ukraine after Russia's invasion. In eastern Ukraine, some battlefields look like they're covered by spider webs because of so many old cables.
Get that high-resolution video feed, which is very good for finding targets because the tether, the fibre optic tether, gives it such high resolution and a stable connection. What I do think is interesting is that their drone operators seem to have picked this up relatively quickly.
To date, most Hezbollah drone attacks appear to have targeted Israeli soldiers and their weapons and machinery in occupied southern Lebanon. And some attacks look highly coordinated. Here, hitting a vehicle and then following up with a strike on the evacuation team. Another time, a Hezbollah drone tracked and attacked an Israeli missile battery.
Based.
In recent weeks, 11 Israeli soldiers have been killed, with dozens wounded.
It does create a psychological terror because the IDF soldiers know that there's a race against time to come up with solutions, and until those solutions are firmly in place, they're going to feel exposed.
You hear many reports of Ukrainian and Russians under attack by drones. Just panic, just pure panic. It will be a long time before training, doctrine is in place to ensure that soldiers are really well drilled to behave calmly under those attacks.
Israel's military appeared to be somewhat caught by surprise with Hezbollah's pivot from rockets to drones.
Of course, the IDF had warnings about this, and it's been late.
Facing growing anger, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he's created a special anti-drone project, and he's ordered intensified attacks on targets in Lebanon. Israel already has the Iron Dome and other sophisticated defense systems, but they're not useful against low-flying, maneuverable drones.
So we've already seen the IDF deploy huge amounts of basically netting that they're placing on their vehicles, and that traps these kinds of threats, but that's only the first step. The second step is there has to be an ability to shoot them down.
Some Israeli tanks have radar that track incoming threats and can even shoot down anti-tank missiles, but not all vehicles have them. And some Hezbollah drones can hide, for example, at the side of a road until their target approaches.
Some of these units have the ability to land, and then they call it perching, where they sort of go to sleep and they can be activated again. And if they perch, they're not going to be detected unless somebody physically sees them. So this is one threat, the ability of Hezbollah to land these things and reactivate them later. That's something that is pretty disturbing.
Israel's military has pushed deep into southern Lebanon, demolishing Shia villages and leaving behind a moonscape to try to drive militants back from Israel's northern border. That leaves Israeli soldiers vulnerable to drone attacks.
The longer that they can persist with this threat, then it does start to have strategic implications, I think. As more Israeli soldiers are killed and wounded, then yes, the effects will add up.
Israel's military has given no indication that the drone attacks are causing it to rethink its strategy in Lebanon. But the implications of what Hezbollah is doing could reach far beyond this conflict.
We are going to be entering a situation where basically any adversary, non-state, terrorists, some of them supported by nefarious actors, are going to be able to deliver air threats pretty much anywhere in the world. This is like a poor man's Air Force, and therefore this is, I think, a wake-up call for everybody, the whole of the West. This threat is very, very accessible.
As military drones spread from Ukraine to Lebanon, they're changing the face of modern warfare, leaving the world's most advanced militaries scrambling to look up.
Okay, so yeah, that's pretty base data. Let's see. That's a pretty big one. What buildings should fall in neighborhoods? Who's that thing? Hold on, let me see. Robert Tallest. Tallest? Yeah, whatever. In London, okay. Okay, so he's some London guy. I see how it is. In response to the surge of drone strikes, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday said he ordered the IDF to increase the intensity of attacks against the military. In another indication of pressure Israel's government is feeling, far-right finance minister Bezalel Smotrich urged the widespread bombing of Lebanese capital. It seems like this is what we're talking about here. These are like actual evil motherfuckers. For every explosive drone, 10 buildings should fall in Beirut. See, like, this is the thing. Your military is being attacked, and your first thought isn't, let's attack their military in response. It's fucking, let's destroy the entire city. Yeah, the capital city of Lebanon. Alright, bro. This is what we're dealing with here. Also, we'll tackle this a little bit later. Yeah, let's see. Um, oh, I see. So you said radio waves would be blocked. That's smart. Alright, I see, I see. How do they strap the cameras on there? Where do they strap the cameras? How's that? I'll have to look into that later. Anyways. Israel's military had penetrated up to 12 kilometers into southern Lebanon, demolishing buildings and attacks in what it calls terrorist infrastructure? Bro, what the fuck? Oh my fucking god, Israel. Oh, this shit's sad. And I bet they're gonna try to claim the fucking land later. It's like the troops following the drown that fallen Israel. This is so based, I'm not gonna lie. There's no something that should be given to war for. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah. I don't remember if Canada stands for Israel or if it stands against it, but I'm pretty sure it stands for it because otherwise it wouldn't be saying Hezbollah is doing this terrible thing. Well, Hezbollah, I guess, what they want to fucking call it. One of those ones that, who said that he initiated a 7-year-old bomb on his one 11 infected countermeasures on TikTok. One day he was actually an authorized industry something. In response. Okay, and these strikes are gonna attack like civilian buildings, hospitals, all that shit. Cause oh, but there's Hezbollah in there, all that shit. Just stupid shit. And so yeah, that is the Lebanon W. Now let's talk about Noam, the man who took it out. It's remembered that the Olympic monster, the hard-hole the staff Noam Hamburger, that's the real name. Based. That's the his No, the big heart, his heart will never be so sad in a eulogy. What has his eye done actually? Uh, you were the soul of what? The house. One house. Staff Sergeant Noah Hamburger. What the fuck does Staff Sergeant mean? What's the pen? Sergeant. Okay, let's see what this one is. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Sleeping. Why the fuck does this shit not count as anything? Okay. Oh yes, I'm writing the, or I watched some TikTok recently that Hebrew, uh, apparently spoken Hebrew is sort of a mix of like Yiddish, Russian, German, and some other language, so like it's more white sounding than, do I want to say Semitic? Semitic? Is that right? Like, Middle Eastern, Semitic, Arabic, based off Arabic, I don't know. Whatever, I hope you get what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I found that quite interesting. Oh, okay. Hamburger. This dude had to be like really white motherfuckers. Let's see. He also be become defending the countries. What defense does he have to actually do? Well, actually, I guess it's a decent on defense because Hezbollah at the very least is striking back really hard based off of the drones thing we were talking about there. And also Hamas is Hamas still in the game? Is they doing alright? I guess there's that. Yeah. Well, it's me this difficult. Yeah. It's all basically the same thing. Travel's been empty this whole time, bruh. The idea of means sounding easy is absurd. No hamburger was called by explosive germs transmitted lemonade gold. Germany served as a technology maintenance center in Battalion 9 of the 401st Armored Brigade. The military said his family had been noted. During the incident in which Hamburg rebelled, another IDF soldier was severely wounded and a non-commissioned officer was later injured. So, where I don't think Noam Hamburg is the only IDF soldier whose name was put on the news. Like no fucking way, it was just him. I was watching this spooky scary social stream like a couple days ago, and this dude was just making fun of him. It was hilarious. Shit like we carry the flame, Charlie Kirk shit. I just found that really amusing, so I kind of got that idea. Yeah, get him. Well, wow, that's not short. Pause. He wants it to work on the drones, but what about him first? The other one's called. Okay, this is the one that Sarah Visual fan. They don't want to I don't think any people have any sort of ancestry in the whatsoever. Like, yeah, just survived. What does that mean? What's that picture someday? You love the holiday and the food. which holiday is it? He was very afraid of drones, which the English carried there. The soldiers put all their clothes on. He kept telling him to wear something like protective vest. He would say, how will I work? Those who probably work easily. Shh, Shavuot.
Shavuot.
Shavuot. Yes.
Shavuot. Shavuos.
Shavuot. What? So they basically used it's the born with us to me. If you not was clear that would be named in the same time, always saying, always making, and so young that life, there was the cloud strength. He achieved everything he wanted in his own life with humility. He was a maiden brother, being the eldest brother just came around the nation, and he knew how to lead, how each reach. Oh my fucking god, I can't read. He's not a kid, and he knew how to reach each one, lead them, teach them, and support them. Truly, it still hasn't sunk in. Our second daughter had dealt with cancer for 3 years. We did, and then fell ill again. The second time was harder. We did bone transplant and travel to the United States. Of course they can travel to the United States. Why would they go? So, and Noam was always there to support them and everything. They're definitely Americans. They suck at this. Or they're white. It could have chosen differently. And to be, less dangerous. Now let me call and talk to them. Be sure. He said, "No, I want to do that. Do you understand them, Mom? The soldiers are fighting there, and when the tank stops working, everything stops." Okay, so he's okay with the tanks. He's okay with the tanks. Yeah, same tanks that go out, destroy, and ravage the streets and kill people. Um, yeah. So that's kind of an overview, you know. Also, military. That's great. You guys are getting so surprised. All right, moving. Well, Iran launched a missile at Israel on Sunday in response to the ground strike of Beirut's southern suburbs, shattering a fragile ceasefire, prompting the most serious escalation since April, after 100 days of war. A senior Iranian official has promised a decisive and painful response to Israel's airstrikes on the southern suburbs of Beirut, and a few hours later, sirens sounded across northern Israel. The IS said in a suburb intercepted only Iranian ballistic missiles as well President Donald Trump called Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, urging him not to strike back. Wow, an actual Trump W. That's great. He was unhappy about it and would not help negotiations with Tehran. The interview on Financial Times on Sunday showed that Netanyahu would have no choice but to accept whatever deals the U.S. negotiates with Iran because Trump calls the shots. After Israeli attack on in Dahiyeh district of Beirut, Ibrahim Razai, Razai, I don't know how to say that, spokesperson for the Iranian foreign policy effort, repeatedly named X, who will give a decisive and able response to the violent regime's attacks on a space telebase. Watch the sky of the occupied territories tonight. Iran considers Israel to be occupied Palestine. That's kind of nice, okay. The Speaker of Iran's parliament, top negotiator Mohammed Bagher Mohammed said U.S. bases and assets in the region had become legitimate targets after the Israeli strikes. They are neither committed to a ceasefire nor Bolshevik dialogue, and through the naval blockade and violation of agreements regarding Lebanon, they showed that they only understand the language of power. This is the Iranian guy, right? Yeah, this is the Iranian. She's based. I like her so far. Iran launched about 10 ballistic missiles at North Israel base. If it's military specifically, then it's safe. But if it's like civilian buildings, no, not safe. All the missiles were intercepted or struck open areas within the area. So all that's I picked up and reading was like I stopped here literally the next whatever. Any targeting of Iranian territory will be met with a devastating and overwhelming response by beyond all exception. Here's the nice part. Last week, Iran put that any Israeli attack on Beirut was caught be considered a violation of the U.S.-Iran ceasefire and would be met with an attack on Israel. Israel media said on Sunday that an eliminated attack on Israel's territory by Iran and Hezbollah was to be anticipated after the strike. The attack on the southern suburbs of Beirut, a Hezbollah stronghold, hit 2 apartments in 2 separate buildings. Lebanon's state news agency reported killing 2 people and wounding 11 based on the initial. Let's just hope that enemy isn't too disruptive. Okay, we're good. The strikes showered the streets. The people who played as having the room in here for the strikes. Like, you see what we're dealing with here? These are people attacking fucking civilian blocks. On this way. Oh shit.
الدمار كتير كبير هون. هيدا بيروت ليه؟ شو في بيروت؟ ليش ضربت هون
ما
إسرائيل؟
بعرف ابدا. كيف انا بكره بدي اعمل سلام وانا بيتي عم بروح، ولادي عم بتروح؟ سلام لما تكون انت منيح انا بكون منيح، بس لما تكون انت عم تضربني 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 never سلام.
The fighting between Israel and Hezbollah ebbs and flows, but the conflict still rages. For supporters of the armed Lebanese group, the battle is existential and rooted in the idea of resistance to Israel.
المقاومة هي شرفنا وعز وفخر وكرامة، نحن فشل حدا ينجس أرض الجنوب، أرضنا طاهرة.
But many other Lebanese say Hezbollah is dragging the country into a war they don't want to be part of.
بلد ما بتنحل الا ما يشيلوا سلاح كل حزب الله وغيره، والا ما في حل، ضل كل 3-4 سنين.
Let's see. One interest. One sentence should restrain them. It's not immediate. So, de-escalate is the key in this area. Should be the key. The UK. Okay. Well, the only interest is, I think, Israel, actually. Because they want to make sure that nothing can stop them from completely taking over Lebanon and Palestine. You know. So, you know. Okay.
Okay. Let's see. On Sunday, Israeli strikes on a Hamas-run police station. I bet that's just a random ass police station that they just decided it was Hamas. You know what I'm saying? It's just fucking. They'll run to claim anything as Hamas, so like, you know, you can't really just trust them.